Born with cursed, mismatched eyes, the seventh prince of the southern kingdom endured a life of endless agony. As he sank into the icy river, death seemed certain. But then, purple lightning rent the heavens. Ning Haiming, whose heart had stopped, suddenly gasps for air. Memories of his tragic past life rush back. The burning in his lungs grounds him. He fights the current and crawls onto the shore, trembling. His ragged coughs prove this isn't a dream. Looking at his small hands, he realizes the truth. Against all odds, he has regressed. It seems fate finally bowed to him, granting a second chance. Ambition blazes in his eyes. Suddenly, a baby's piercing cry shatters the silence of the riverbank. The sound is impossibly close, vibrating in his ears. Yet the shoreline is completely deserted. Is this a ghost of rebirth? Meanwhile, 100 miles away at the Prince of Ping'an's estate, a newborn's wail echoes through the halls. A young life begins, but destiny has a cruel humor. A girl is born, a healthy young mistress! The servants cheer, unaware of the brewing storm. Why does she cry so desperately? No one suspects this tiny infant carries a mature woman's soul. Juji, a modern soul trapped in a novel, is having a total mental breakdown. This is a nightmare! If you knew this world was a death trap, you'd be screaming too. She thought she'd hit the jackpot. A noble life should have been easy. But she's landed in a dark tragedy where everyone dies. The male lead is a monster who slaughters her bloodline, and that monster is her own father. Prince Ping'an is a total scumbag. Her mother, Liu Ruan, is just a doomed villainess. Fate is even crueler. Her father's true love gave birth today, too. He plans a theft. To give his illegitimate daughter a legitimate title, this psycho father has ordered a secret baby swap. Right on schedule, a sinister nanny arrives. Cold fingers are already pressing over Juji's small face. In the original book, this is where Juji's suffocated. A mere footnote in a toxic love story. She started life on legendary difficulty. But Juji isn't a normal baby. She immediately plays dead. It works. The nanny, believing she's murdered the child, tosses Juji into a basket without thought. The prince won't care about this trash, she sneers. I'll dump the little corpse later tonight. As soon as the nanny turns, Juji strikes back. She yanks the fake princess's hair with force. She needs to make a scene. But the illegitimate baby only whimpers. That won't be enough help. Thinking fast, Juji lands a solid punch on the intruder's face. Now the baby is screaming. Juji joins the chorus, howling with everything. The chaotic noise startles her mother, resting nearby. Weak from labor, Liu Ruan sits up. What is that? Does my child sound like she's speaking? Her maid is confused. My lady, you're exhausted. A newborn can't talk. It's just your imagination. But then, two distinct cries erupt from the nursery. The head maid's blood runs cold. Impossible. Her mistress only had one child. Two voices means someone has infiltrated the inner sanctum. She orders the babies brought out. The nanny is caught red-handed, looking like a trapped deer. Juji's brother, Ju Jujian, doesn't hesitate. He kicks the hag. Witch, what are you doing to her? He looks into the basket and freezes. It wasn't murder. It was a treacherous baby swap. The head maid rushes to Liu Ruan with both infants. She hasn't even seen her lady's child. Tension fills the room as the identical babies are presented. No one knows the true princess. Ju Jujian drags the trembling nanny forward for punishment. Liu Ruan tries to focus her eyes. She had fallen into a deep sleep. Now, looking at the two cradles, her heart sinks. How can a mother choose? Just then, the Prince of Ping'an storms in, plan gone south. He wears a mask of concern, acting like a devoted father, while scanning for an escape. The maid explains, someone tried to swap the young miss. We can't tell them apart, Lord. The room is thick with suspicion. The two babies look exactly the same to the servants, but the Prince of Ping'an knows. He looks down at the two infants hiding his turmoil. A single glance identifies his own blood. But will he choose his daughter or his scheme. He knew the pink swaddle held his true love's child. Despite the exposure, he planned a new deception. Liu Ruan was a naive target in his eyes. He sat beside her, wearing a mask of gentle concern. If he could cloud her judgment, the illegitimate child would be hers. He watched her intently, waiting. Liu Ruan's gaze wavered between the two infants. As one wails, her maternal heart begins to ache. She reached out to soothe the tears. Suddenly, the imposter child clutched her finger tightly. Ju Yuji's eyes widened. This scripted drama was far too perfect. Her mother was being lured into a trap. Seizing the moment, the prince exclaimed, "Ruan, look! She chose you! This must be our precious daughter." Enraged by her father's blatant lies, Ju Yuji fumed. She wouldn't let this scumbag succeed so easily. She shoved the fake princess aside and locked her tiny hands around Liu Ruan's finger. "Who gave you permission to steal my mother?" she screamed in her mind, her tiny heart burning with fury. Liu Ruan froze in shock. Was that a child's voice? She stared down at her daughter, paralyzed. "Pick me, Mom!" Juji cried out internally. "I'm your real flesh and blood. That one is a total fake." The realization hit Liu Ruan. The voice was echoing from the tiny baby right before her eyes. Was this a divine connection? Meanwhile, the prince noticed her focus shifting toward the real heir. Desperate to regain control, he barked at the nanny. "Speak! Which of these children belongs to the consort?" Following the silent signal, the wicked nanny pointed directly at the fake child in pink. Ju Yuji instantly saw through the web of lies. Her father's betrayal ran deeper than she imagined. "You old fox, playing tricks with our lives," she cursed. "I see exactly what's happening here." She knew the baby beside her was the fruit of her father's secret, illicit affair. He wanted her gone to pave the way for his illegitimate brat. It was a cold-blooded scheme. Liu Ruan heard every word, her blood running cold. She searched the prince's face for any sign of guilt. Could her honest husband truly be such a monster? Surely he wouldn't have a lover in the shadows. The prince didn't hesitate, scooping up the fake princess and cradling her with staged affection. "My poor girl, you've suffered," he cooed. "I'll deal with this little villain who dared to hurt you." He moved to discard Juji forever. "Stop!" Liu Ruan shouted, her voice trembling with newfound doubt. "We must be certain," she warned. His frantic haste was finally starting to raise red flags. Even her son joined in. "Mother is right. We don't know who this woman truly serves." They had to unmask the mastermind. The nanny, catching the prince's warning glare, fell to her knees. "Have mercy! I was blinded by the riches of this house," she wailed, faking a pathetic confession. She claimed she only wanted her own grandchild to live in luxury. A calculated, sacrificial lie. Ju Yuji watched the performance in disgust. The truth was being buried under a mountain of deception. As a mere newborn, she was powerless to stop them. Their rehearsed acting was flawless. Fate seemed sealed. "Is this how I die?" she wondered, her tiny spirit finally beginning to break. "Fine, take me to the grave. Goodbye, mother." Her resignation sent a sharp pang through Liu Ruan's heart. Seeing her baby's defeat, Liu Ruan turned to the prince. "Husband, this woman is far too cunning. What if she's lying to protect someone?" Her words bit deep, threatening the prince's fragile cover. Trapped, the prince pivoted to his backup plan. "Fine, let us settle this with a blood test." Ju Yuji's mind raced. Another trap. She needed to warn her mother about this rigged game. Liu Ruan saw the baby's frantic movements, but the voice had suddenly gone silent. Silence filled the air. Then, a spark of intuition hit her. Did she need physical contact? She reached out, touching the baby's skin. Instantly, a wave of indignant thoughts flooded her mind. "It's a setup! He put alum in the water!" Juji screamed internally. The test was a total sham. He would only test the nanny and me to seal my doom. Heavens, please save my mother! I'll trade that scumbag's entire life just to keep her safe from his wretched lies. The sheer weight of the revelation left Liu Ruan breathless. Just then, the prince stepped forward. The prince called for a basin of water. "My love, this woman insists the infant in that basket is her own flesh and blood. Why not put them to the test?" Those cold words pierced Lu Ruyan's heart, shattering the noble image of the man she loved. It was all true. Her husband's life was a web of lies. As her world turned cold, little Juji let out a silent, mocking sneer. Typical, she thought. This world is just another twisted palace drama. Haunted by her daughter's voice and the prince's cruel suggestion, Rion's devotion finally crumbled. She now knew her baby's inner voice spoke only the truth. The gentle wife was gone. In her place stood a woman of ice. She gave a chillingly calm nod to her husband's plan. With a sharp, hidden glance, she signaled her loyal maid to intervene. The maid, a lifelong shadow to Rion, caught the silent command instantly with a slight bow. She accidentally tripped the treacherous nanny, sending the tampered water crashing to the floor. The nanny panicked. Her luck had soured completely, and the prince's dark scheme was slipping through her fingers. She stammered that she'd been pushed, but Ruyun's gaze was like a dagger. "The woman behind you is Lu," she hissed. "My most trusted soul. She seeks the truth of my child's blood more than anyone. Why would she stop you? Lu, fetch fresh water. We restart now." Fear finally flickered in the prince's eyes. Suddenly, a smooth voice echoed from the shadows. "Why endure such tedious games?" Their eldest son, Jujimu, stepped forward with a formal bow. "Greetings, mother, father. I've been observing from the hall. I find these blood tests quite untrustworthy." "Mother, remember before my sister was conceived, when you fell into that icy lake? The royal physician warned that the freezing sickness would surely mark the child within your womb." Rian nodded. That was the undeniable proof they needed. Little Juji gasped internally. "So that's why I'm fading. I feel like I'm hovering at death's door. I could kill the author of this novel." A tragic reincarnation is bad enough, but they had to add a sickly child debuff? Is this a speed run to my funeral? The Prince of Pingan, clutching his secret daughter, felt his chest tighten with dread. Yet he kept his mask of composure. "Enough. The test must proceed. We've no time for doctors." But his son's voice cut through his words like a blade. "Unnecessary, father. I've already brought a physician. Let him examine my dear sister at once." The prince was cornered. His own son had stripped away every excuse. He fell into a grim silence. The swap had failed. Now he scrambled for a way to shield his hidden bastard from the storm. The doctor stepped forward, his eyes widening. "Heavens, this infant is burning with fever." That cry was a death sentence for the lie. This was her true daughter. Rian snatched her baby up, her soul consumed by terror for the child. The prince watched them, cold and detached as a stranger. Rian's agony reached Juji. She forced a tiny, weak smile. "Don't cry, Mama," she thought. "By the laws of isekai, I'm the main character. I won't perish here." That small spark of life warmed Ruyan's shattered heart, even as her husband's betrayal cut like glass. Tears fell. "My daughter will survive." The prince, realizing the game was lost, tossed the illegitimate babe to a bribed servant. "You're right, my love. She'll live. This wretched nanny should be executed, and this bastard cast into the streets." But Rian saw right through his pathetic acting. Her heart was now tempered steel. "No execution," she commanded. "Guards, seize this bastard and this traitorous servant. Lock them away! If my daughter suffers even a breath of pain, I will carve the mastermind into 1,000 bloody pieces." Little Juji pumped her tiny fists, giving her mother a mental standing ovation. "Go, villainess, mommy!" The prince felt a deadly chill. Those words were a direct threat to his soul. Guilt and terror swirled inside him. Juji-mu watched the heavy silence between his parents, sensing a rift that could never be mended. Meanwhile, in the seventh prince's manor, Ning Huaijing bolted upright, drenched in a cold sweat. A primal sense of dread gripped him. In his nightmare, he had been drowning in the shadows of death. Yet, upon waking, he was perfectly whole. This time, instead of an infant's wail, a ghostly whisper echoed in his mind, as if crying, "Mommy, who is she? Have I been poisoned, or is my mind finally fracturing?" After that terrifying swap, Liu Ruan clutched her daughter tight, refusing to let go all night long. Her maid whispered softly, "My lady, please rest. You've watched over the mist for hours without sleep. Your body will collapse at this rate." Liu Ruan gazed at the sleeping infant and shook her head. "My negligence caused her such pain. I can't rest until I see she's safe with my own eyes." Suddenly, little Yuji stirred. Opening her eyes, she saw a face so breathtaking, it felt like a dream. Mom is a total goddess. Seeing her awake, the maid quietly slipped away to fetch the doctor. Liu Ruan watched her daughter's wide-eyed stare, wondering what she was thinking while stroking her soft cheek. That tiny, joyful voice echoed in her mind again. "Oh my God, Mom, you are absolutely stunning! I'm obsessed! You really are the legendary Emperor Ruan, the woman who survived every tragedy with grace. Scorned, poor, or even a villain, you were never ugly. You truly dominate the entire web novel world." She snuggled deeper into Liu Ruan's warmth. "From now on, I finally have a mommy of my own." Hearing those joyful thoughts, Liu Ruan's heart lightened. "Little one, your brothers and I will protect you. We will shield you from everyone, even your father." She stopped as the bitter betrayal resurfaced. How could a husband who tried to swap his own flesh and blood ever treat her well? Since their wedding, the Prince of Pingan seemed devoted, never taking a consort besides one old concubine. The world envied her perfect marriage. But if not for Yuji's birth, she'd still be blind. She never knew he had a true love hidden away. Her whole life was a beautiful lie. Liu Ruan fell into a dark silence. Sensing the shift, Yuji realized her mom was thinking of her father. She reached out with chubby little hands, desperately trying to distract her mother from the lingering pain. That sweet, clumsy gesture melted Liu Ruan's soul. She smiled, pushing the scumbag's image from her mind. She nuzzled her precious baby, and Yuji's heart soared. Acting like a baby is embarrassing, but being cherished like this is the best feeling ever. Liu Ruan heard the longing in her voice. Realizing her daughter was starved for affection, she vowed to pour twice as much love into her. She planted a tender kiss on Yuji's rosy cheek. The baby's face turned red as she squealed internally. Liu Ruan laughed softly at the sight. "Is our little Yuji shy? You're just too adorable to handle." Amidst their bonding, the eldest son, Jujimu, entered. "Mother, I came to check on you and my sister." He studied the baby closely. Her bright, clear eyes stared back at him with an adorable, curious blankness. Seeing she was fine, he turned to Liu Ruan. "Mother, why did you lock up that wicked nanny? You've forbidden everyone from seeing her, even father. And you secretly removed the blood test bowl. You suspected the water was tampered with, didn't you?" Liu Ruan lowered her gaze, remaining hauntingly silent. She knew her son was far too sharp to be fooled, but the truth was beyond explanation. After a long pause, she looked up and asked carefully, "Muer, what is your honest opinion of your father?" Jujimu narrowed his eyes. "Do you truly want to know? Years ago, when it was time for an heir, I refused the title. Soon after, rumors spread that the second brother would become the heir instead. It felt wrong. Lady Zhang is too cautious for that. Then, father went directly to the emperor. He claimed the heir must be born of his official wife and named the third brother as successor. The court praised him as a devoted husband. They said the Prince of Pingan was a saint. Grandfather was so impressed, he helped father get promoted to the Ministry of Revenue shortly after. That was when I realized, father isn't the simple man he pretends to be. He's incredibly calculating. I've asked you many times how he truly treats you. Do you finally see his face now, Mother?" As Liu Ruan recalled the past, an overwhelming wave of sadness and betrayal crashed over her soul. With his grandfather's influence, he seized the Ministry of Revenue post. But since then, I sensed father's humble facade was a lie. I kept asking, how did he truly treat you? Surely you remember. As those memories resurfaced, a wave of bitter sorrow consumed Luderon. Her son's desperate warnings finally echoed in her mind, revealing how blinded she'd been by a false love. Sensing her mother's heart breaking once more, Juji reached out, cupping her cheek. "Mama, don't cry over that trash," the baby babbled, desperately trying to pull her from the abyss of despair. The sharp-witted Jujimu watched in awe, realizing his newborn sister possessed an intelligence far beyond her years. A soft smile touched his lips. "Little you, you're a clever one, aren't you? Already protecting our mother." He gently poked her cheek, while Juji stared back, her inner thoughts grumbling at her handsome older brother. "They say the ones with narrow eyes are the most cunning," she mused. He knew Dad was a snake all along. Truly the genius of this world, she thought sadly, and the one destined for the most tragic early end. Jujimu froze, the blood draining from his face. Whose voice is that? Is my sister speaking in my mind? Before he could process the shock, Juji's inner voice dropped a revelation that shook his very soul. In the original fate, Mother was destined to die from a poison masked as illness, all for that scumbag's lover. When Big Brother investigated, the Emperor conveniently sent him on a suicide mission to a hostile enemy nation. Ambushed and broken, he barely survived, only to return as a hollow shell, consumed by a thirst for vengeance. He became the Emperor's 9,000-year-old shadow, a ruthless monster climbing a ladder of blood and betrayal. Framing the innocent and slaughtering the loyal, his path of darkness ended with him being torn apart by 5 horses. Horrified by the vision, Juji squeezed his finger tight, her tiny cries masking the heavy sighs within her heart. "Big bro, you have to stay good. I won't let fate destroy you," she vowed silently. Liu Ruyen noticed the slight tremor in her son's expression, a look she knew all too well. Realizing he could also hear their daughter's divine warnings, she gave him a subtle, knowing shake of her head. Her heart throbbed with terror, picturing her precious son's gruesome end. She had to change their destiny. Jujimu fought to remain calm. His sister wasn't just a baby. She was a prophet of their coming doom. No wonder Mother changed so suddenly. Little Yu's mysterious gift was the key to their survival. He wondered if this power was theirs alone, or if a greater danger lurked if others heard her secrets. Suddenly, a booming voice shattered the silence. "His lordship, the prince, has arrived!" making them all flinch. Even without the mind link, Jujimu could tell by Juji's furious little face that she was cursing their father's soul. Zhu Xiaosheng's voice rang out with fake warmth. "My dear, I heard our little treasure has finally awakened." Seeing their stiff reactions, he quickly masked his true nature, putting on the performance of a grieving, devoted father. "I was sick with worry," he lied smoothly. "The thought of my daughter suffering kept me awake all night." He brushed his son aside, his eyes gleaming with a hidden agenda as he reached for the infant. Panic surged through Liu Ruyen. She moved to block him, terrified of what he might discover. But it was too late. The scumbag had already snatched the baby up. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Snatching her back would only raise suspicion. So she stood paralyzed, searching the prince's face for any sign. "My love, why so tense?" he asked, his hand grazing the baby's forehead. "Ah, the fever has broken at last. I was ready to storm the palace for an imperial physician," he claimed, a hollow promise dripping from his lips. He frowned slightly as the baby squirmed, sensing her visceral rejection. Mother and son held their breath. Relief washed over them like a cool wave. The villain was deaf to the truth screaming in the baby's mind. Juji refused to let him win. A wicked, mischievous glint flashed in her eyes as she looked at his face. For a split second, the prince was stunned. Did a newborn just smirk at him? Before he could blink, a warm, wet sensation soaked his expensive silk robes. "Is this pee?" he stammered. Fearing he'd drop her in disgust, Liu Ruyen snatched her back. "Oh, you little troublemaker! How could you?" Forced to maintain his doting facade, the prince squeezed out a smile. It means she loves her father." Liu Ruyen nearly burst out laughing as her daughter's giggling inner voice echoed. Make him thank us for it. She turned away, hiding her joy and refusing to give that monster even a second of her attention. Sensing a shift in the air, the prince shifted his tactics. By the way, Ruan, we still need her name. Liu Ruyen looked up, her eyes cold and distant, as she prepared to reclaim her daughter's future. Have you truly forgotten, dear? Back when our little one was just a dream, we chose those names together. Zhuho for a boy, Yuji for a girl. Panic flashed in his eyes before he forced a hollow laugh. Forgive me, I've been buried in work. My mind must be failing me to forget something so precious. How shameful, little Yuji scoffed inwardly. Busy, more like obsessed with your pathetic pining for that woman, Shen Yulan. Bad memory? You've nursed a bitter grudge against her ex-fiancé for nearly 10 long years now, using it as a weapon to break her soul. Outsiders might mistake you for some tragic, noble hero. As her daughter's sharp insights cut through the air, a cold fury ignited within Lu Ruan's heart. Masking her lethal gaze, she donned a veil of sweet devotion. My love, please do not overwork yourself. Your well-being is everything. Believing her mother had fallen for the act, Yuji thrashed her tiny legs. Mother, please, wake up! A scoundrel only tells the truth when he's a silent portrait hanging on the wall. Stay sharp. Zhu Zhaoying grasped her hand, his voice thick with a performance of pure, unadulterated devotion. Everything I do is for us, for a family. No burden is too heavy if I have your heart. Suddenly, a servant burst inside, breathless. My lady, disaster has struck. The rear annex is engulfed in flames. The very room housing the traitorous nanny and the infant? Lu Ruan's brow furrowed in immediate, icy suspicion. A fire out of nowhere? Are they alive? But before the girl could speak, the master cut her off. If they've perished, so be it. You are still recovering. You mustn't trouble yourself with such lowly fates. I will handle the investigation. Just rest. He turned and swept out of the room with suspicious haste. She watched only the master of the house himself. Beside her, young Jujimo watched the unfolding drama with terrifyingly sharp eyes. Seeing the truth, he bowed deeply. Mother, I shall excuse myself. Lu Ruan felt a sudden chill of dread. I will stain my own hands so that yours may remain pure and white. She yearned to shield them from the filth. Jujimo paused, sensing the weight of his mother's desperate love. Fear not. If I ever reach for the heavens, it will be to strike down those who hide there. I seek only the power to destroy the untouchable. But for today, I am no monster. I bid you farewell. He departed, leaving her with a silent vow. I will give you everything I am to clear your path. Your journey will not be hard. Once they were alone, her trusted servant slipped back into the shadows. The report was grim. As suspected, the water used in the blood test had been subtly tampered with. A trap was set. Furthermore, the nanny has been reduced to ash, but the infant is gone. Fury blazed in her eyes, sharp and clarifying. Since you've cast aside all mercy, do not expect it from me. I will be your nightmare. As the maid tended to Yuji, she whispered a trembling question. Shall we hunt the child down? A shadow of pure malice flickered across her face, vanishing instantly. The light in Yuji's eyes softened her. No. Like my own daughter, that child is merely a victim. The sins belong to the parents. Why should an innocent pay the price? Listening closely, little Yuji beamed. Her heart swelled with pride, unaware of the terrifying resolve hardening behind her mother's gentle smile. My mother is a literal angel, a saint among mortals. Lu Ruan felt a pang of bitter guilt. To be called holy while plotting murder. She handed the infant over. Take her for her nap. As soon as the door closed, her voice turned to ice. Uproot the weeds. Every single one. Destroy the roots. Leave nothing but ash. The maid bowed, understanding the need for this dark protection. The young miss must never know. Meanwhile, Jujimo arrived at the charred remains of the woodshed. The embers glowed like dying stars. Seal every exit. If anyone breathes a word of leaving, hunt them. Track them to the ends of the earth. But master, the guard whispered, would her ladyship approve? Jujimo's gaze was cold. Unchecked threats become fatal storms. I will do what is necessary. Keep this from her. She must stay in the light. Having given the order, he turned with a smirk. Tell me, do I look like a villain to you? The guard's head snapped back in a frantic, terrified denial. My lord, you are truly noble and righteous. Gujimo smirked. Perhaps I do have a natural gift for playing the saint. Forgive me, mother. I've failed our oath. Meanwhile, 7th Prince Ning Huaming spiraled into another soul-chilling nightmare within the palace. Lost in a void of endless shadow, a ghostly whisper commanded him to advance through the oppressive, pitch-black darkness. Suddenly, a radiant light fractured the gloom. A woman appeared, tenderly swaying a cradle while whispering to the sleeping child. Even if you adore this night-luminescent pearl, little one, you cannot keep it in your mouth while you slumber. I shouldn't have shown it to you after your aunt's visit. Huaming watched, haunted by the infant's familiar, echoing cries. A desperate hunger burned in him to see the baby's face. He stepped toward the light, heart pounding with anticipation. But as he reached for the cradle, his feet were suddenly rooted to the spot, encased in an icy, paralyzing grip. Heavy footsteps thundered behind him. The world fractured and warped, the darkness dissolving into a familiar, grand imperial throne room. The scene shifted to his previous life's court. Before he could grasp the change, his adult form and memories returned. In a flash of cold steel, a dagger buried itself deep into his gut. Pain exploded through his entire being instantly. Huaming stared in shock at the woman holding the blade. Dressed in funeral white, her eyes burned with pure loathing. Rot in hell! You crushed Southern Yue and slaughtered my brother. Did you truly think I would ever marry you? Go to the underworld and pay for my brother's lives! Huaming stood frozen. This nightmare felt like a twisted farce. He didn't even recognize this vengeful stranger. But her next words struck him like a physical blow, shattering his composure. You think rebirth grants you absolute control? You calculated every move, yet you never accounted for my existence in this life. Her voice began to fade as blood loss clouded his mind. Everything turned hazy as his consciousness started to slip away. He gripped the hilt in his stomach, shoving the woman back with his remaining strength as he stumbled away, trembling. He stared at the weapon in disbelief. It was his mother's precious keepsake. The shock finally jolted him into reality. Gasping for air, he touched his uninjured stomach, trembling with relief. It was only a dream, a terrifyingly vivid nightmare. He reached for the dagger beneath his pillow. The warmth radiating from the metal hilt sent a shiver down his spine. Was this a mere hallucination or a dark prophecy? He had always scoffed at the divine, but rebirth changed everything. As he stood paralyzed by doubt, his personal eunuch hurried into the room with urgent news from the royal court. Your Highness, Master Mingai has returned. The Emperor has already summoned him to the palace for a private audience. Huaming's gaze sharpened. Perhaps the monk held the key. He signaled for his eunuch to begin the morning's royal dressing. Across the kingdom, a sleeping Jujuji suddenly sneezed and bolted upright. Her mother, Liu Ruan, instantly rushed over. My darling, are you unwell? Why that sudden sneeze? Did you catch a cold while you were sleeping last night? Juji looked into her mother's worried eyes, her mind racing. That was too close. It was just a dream, fortunately. Mom, I had the most bizarre nightmare. I grew up and I actually ended someone's life. It was so intense. It was like one quick strike and it was over. I felt possessed by a tragic, star-crossed romance gone wrong. Liu Ruan laughed at her daughter's dramatic gestures and flailing arms. The little girl looked absolutely precious in her panic. She gently squeezed Juji's hand. It was only a bad dream, sweetheart. Don't be afraid. Dreams are just passing illusions. You are far too adorable for such things. Meanwhile, at the Northern Yin Palace, Master Mingai approached the gates. He spotted Ning Huaming waiting in the shadows. The master stopped and offered a solemn, respectful Buddhist salute to him. Amitabha. For the seventh prince to wait at dawn, what heavy burden weighs upon your soul this morning, young lord? Huaming's eyes lit up with hope. As expected, nothing escapes your sight, master. He took a deep, steadying breath. Master, a recurring vision of a girl haunts me. She does things that defy all logic. Could these dreams be real? Mingai replied, Your Highness, existence is a wheel of karma. Actions from past lives always bear fruit eventually. Dreams manifest because the threads of fate have already been determined and woven into the tapestry of our reality. Hearing about the fruits of a past life made Huaming's heart skip. He stared at the monk, searching for truth. Fate is set? Do you mean my future is written in blood? That I will hand a woman the blade? That ends my life. Huaming turned away, bowing deeply. I am grateful for your wisdom, master. Truly, I am. However, I refuse to bow to destiny. As he turned, his youthful features twisted into a mask of chilling ferocity. He gripped the dagger at his side. Fate is a crutch for the weak. This time, I'll be the one holding the blade. I fought so hard for this second chance. This life belongs to me alone. This destiny is mine. Anyone blocking my path must die. He replayed every secret detail from that fateful dream. The woman from his vision was that infant, fully grown. She had accused him of destroying Southern Yu's glory. She held royal blood. Memories confirmed the nations were negotiating peace. This was his perfect golden ticket to travel. A month vanished instantly. Lady Leo finished her recovery as the palace prepared a lavish feast for little Yuji. Blessings. The fifth miss is a jewel. She is the spitting image of her mother, the beautiful princess consort. Cradled in her mother's arms, Yuji felt irritated. These fake pleasantries were exhausting. Yet a forgotten dread loomed. Suddenly, a herald's cry pierced the air. Her Majesty, the Empress, has arrived! The entire room fell silent instantly. Empress Rukyang approached her sister with a radiant smile. Rise, everyone. Today is for my niece. Let's skip formalities. Looking up, Yuji was dazzled by celestial beauty. Then, the missing memory struck her like a bolt of lightning. Her heart plummeted. Aunt Rukyang, her own flesh and blood, was marked for death. Tonight, the tragedy is destined to begin. In the original novel, the Liu family bred villains. Auntie was the emperor's first love and the harem's gatekeeper. She was the anti-pregnancy squad leader, sabotaging rivals to protect her son's throne. A classic, cold-blooded antagonist. Then there was Shenhen, the pathetic male lead. He sought a replacement for Rukyang, obsessed with a mere shadow. After becoming emperor, his paranoia turned deadly. My aunt died as mere fuel for his toxic, win-her-back drama. Yuji stared at her kind aunt, baffled. How could someone this breathtaking be a villain? The author was delusional. Amused by the babies' faces, Rukyang pinched her cheek. Look at this little red mole. She's a temple spirit. Adoring her fragrant, beautiful aunt, Yuji held her hand tight. In that instant, her frantic thoughts leaked into Rukyang's mind. Hello to my breathtaking, goddess-tier auntie. Rukyang's elegant smile shattered instantly. She stood frozen by an impossible voice. Did the infant just speak? Impossible! A 1-month-old baby couldn't possess such a clear, indignant voice in her head. My beautiful aunt is doomed tonight, the voice screamed. That trash Shenhen used Yanuer as a replacement and snapped. Now he wants to play obsession games while my aunt suffers? He's a monster with no conscience at all. Trapped between two psychos, I won't let them ruin her. I'll save my wonderful auntie from this cruel fate. Rukyang was paralyzed, her world spinning. This child, she knew about Shenhen's plot. She even knew about Yan Yuer. Yan Yuer, the secret noble lady hidden in the remote palace. The woman who shared her own face perfectly. He swore she was just a placeholder for his longing. Now the truth burned. Her husband wanted her dead. Tears welled as rage replaced her sorrow. She had sacrificed everything for his throne, only to be discarded now. Lady Leo saw her sister's expression crumble. A realization dawned. Did she hear Yuji's thoughts too? She nudged her. Sister, what is wrong? Ruking snapped back, forcing a smile. I need to stay and talk with you tonight. Wait, was that a voice? Impossible. A newborn can't speak. Yet, clearly, a tiny voice echoed. The infant's furious thoughts pierced her mind. My lovely aunt dies tonight, that trash Shenhen. He's insane. He brought in Yanuer to replace her, but now that the stand-in is fading, he claims to love her? Fine, play your sick games, but why must my aunt suffer? He doesn't have a shred of humanity left. Truly, my poor aunt is cursed with two vile psychopaths. I won't stand by while they destroy my precious aunt. I will save her. Little Yuji's internal fury left Liu Rukyung utterly paralyzed. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Stunned, she processed the words. Shenhen wants me dead? How could a baby know such secrets? How does she know about Yanur? The mysterious noble lady hidden away in the secluded palace, my mirror image. He claimed she was just a substitute to ease his longing for me. A hollow lie! Realizing her husband of years was plotting her murder, her world began to crumble. Tears blurred her vision, but beneath the sorrow, a cold, burning resentment began to take root. She built his career with her blood and sweat, only for him to betray her with another. He'd discard her life for that woman. Lu Ruan noticed her sister's pale face and grew suspicious. Did she hear the baby's thoughts too? She reached out gently. Sister, talk to me. What's wrong? Pulling herself together, she forced a thin smile. Yanire, it's been too long. Let's stay together and talk tonight. Liu Rien nodded eagerly. I'd love nothing more. Then she turned to her. Hongju, take my imperial token. Demand the emperor's favor. I shall remain at the Prince of Pingan's manor tonight. Like Lu Ruyen, Liu Rukyang's heart had withered. She was now a predator, hunting a scumbag. Time to enforce the emperor's forgotten vows. If a man's heart wanders, simply tear it out. Little Ju Yuji stared in shock. I was ready to wail for her, but she's already playing the board. Meanwhile, after 30 days of grueling travel, Northern Yin's envoys reached the Southern Ye capital. Just, Your Highness. The attendant pulled the veil back, eyes narrowing at the early hour. Stop now? You want— Highness, this is diplomacy. Rushing in makes Northern Yin look desperate and weak. If Southern Yue truly desires peace, they will send a grand welcome to greet us. Hiding ice. As the curtain fell, the prince's submissive facade evaporated into a cold, lethal glare. They're desperate to block my entry. Their patience is impressive, waiting until the final mile. 30, it's fine. A hidden dragon stays low. Are the countermeasures I ordered in place? Good. Mid-banquet, a weeping woman crashed the gates, screaming for the Empress's divine justice. The music died instantly as whispers of scandal rippled through the curious noble guests. The girl trembled, her voice failing. Suddenly, Ju Yuji recalled a dark, tragic memory. Reading her that's under the guise of mentorship, he turned the boy into a gambler and a rake. Mom was kept blind until the end. This very night was his downfall. He harassed the scholar's sister. But the original story saw the Empress dismiss her. Mocked and shamed, the innocent girl took her own life before the sun rose. That scholar's vengeful wrath was born that night, targeting the entire Jew family. He eventually framed the brother for treason, leading to a brutal, bloody execution. Liu Ruyan gasped. Her precious son was being systematically destroyed by her own husband. Rage boiled in her veins. Her son was just a pawn in a monster's game. The girl's sobs broke the silence. I I cannot find the words for this shame. Knowing the boy's horrific fate, Liu Ruyan knew this girl was their only hope. "Fetch my third son immediately," she commanded, her voice sharp as a blade. She stepped down, gently lifting the girl. "I hear you. Let us speak privately." They moved to the hall. Soon, Juji Jian stumbled in, grinning like a fool. "Mother? Why the sudden summons?" He didn't even see the storm brewing. A splash of cold tea hit his face, shattering his drunken stupor instantly.
"You shameless animal! Look at the ruin you've caused!"
The boy just scoffed. "It was just a bit of fun, Mother. Why such a fuss over a girl?" Ju Yuji fumed. "Beat him, Mom. If you don't, you'll be mourning him later." Even at the grave, he showed no remorse. Princess Liu Ruan ordered a maid to strike his knees, forcing him to bow before the scholar's sister. Turning to the lady, she sighed. "Forgive me. My lack of proper parenting caused this pain. Name his punishment today, and I shall fulfill it without delay." The girl stood frozen as the princess humbled herself. But Juju Jian roared in fury. "Mother, how dare you? I am the rightful heir here." A chilling voice cut through. "Oh? Then I wonder if the Empress has the power to tame you." "Guards, this boy has insulted his superiors. Take him away. 20 heavy lashes with the rod." Little Yuji cheered silently. "Yes, break him. If he isn't punished now, he will only become a monster." This Empress and Mom are legendary. When the lady saw the arrogant heir dragged away for justice, backed by the two most powerful women on her side, her wrath finally faded. Liu Ruan added, "Tomorrow I shall bring that brat to your door to beg for mercy again. Does this suffice?" The girl bowed deeply. "I never dreamed Her Majesty and your ladyship would be so righteous. Since he has tasted his own medicine, I will not press charges. I bid you farewell." The family crisis was settled, but the drama with her third son had only just begun. Mother was set on his reform. She sent little Yuji away to rest. The baby flailed, desperate to watch the fallout, but no one listened. Once the child was safely away, Liu Ruan's gaze turned cold as ice. "Guards! Scour the residence and investigate every servant around the heir. Anyone who fueled his wicked ways shall be executed immediately." As the nanny carried Yuji through the moonlit gardens, the baby gazed at the glowing sky and let out a heavy sigh. "Time flies since I woke up in this garbage novel. Will I ever find a way home? I love my new mom, but I miss my technology so much. If only I hadn't clicked this story just because the lead shared my name. I was so foolish back then. If only I hadn't acted like a keyboard warrior, calling this plot a madman's fantasy. If only I ignored that commenter who dared me to do better. Now I am trapped forever inside this tragic tale as a tiny, useless infant." Suddenly, a dark figure lunged from behind a rock. With a swift strike to the neck, the maid collapsed, and he snatched little Yuji midair. Phew! Too close. I almost lost my precious cargo after all that work. Without a second thought, he used high-level martial arts to vanish. A terrified maid stood paralyzed as her young mistress was stolen. Recovering from the shock, she shrieked, "Help! An assassin took the baby!" Yuji, however, accepted her grim fate, even as tears blurred her vision. "Goodbye, Mom. I guess I'm hitting the road tonight. Farewell to this crazy world of psychos. I'm becoming a wanderer." Meanwhile, at an inn near the city, shadowy killers infiltrated Ning Huaqing's chamber. They approached his bed, blades drawn and ready. They plunged their steel into the shivering blankets, but the resistance felt strange. Retreating, their swords were only covered in feathers. A decoy. Infuriated, they tore the bedding apart to find nothing but pillows. The lead assassin snarled, "We've been played. Ning Huaqing has vanished. Find him in the city. If you see any child matching his description, slaughter them immediately. No mercy." Back in the capital, the mysterious kidnapper tried to escape the walls. But to his horror, the Zhu clan had locked every gate and unleashed the royal guards. He was trapped and had to find cover until dawn. As he panicked, the sound of heavy boots echoed through his hiding spot. Gritting his teeth, he realized the child was a burden. I must ditch her for a moment and return later. Yuji squirmed in his iron grip. Look, buddy, kidnap me if you want, but stop smothering me. Is everyone in this world obsessed with covering people's mouths? The man finally let go, but just as the baby prepared to scream, he shoved a rag into her tiny mouth to silence her completely. Little Yuji finally inhaled, only to be gagged again. She gave a massive eye roll as the man. Sensing her plight, he lowered her gently, hiding her beneath a basket before vanishing. His escape seemed perfect, yet fate intervened. A ragged beggar boy suddenly entered that very alley. It was Ning Haiming, disguised and fleeing for his life from a pack of assassins. The disguise worked, but the city's lockdown had cornered him like a desperate, caged beast. Unfamiliar with the capital, he sought refuge in the shadows, stumbling toward a pile of baskets. As he reached out, a voice echoed from within. Think you're clever, Tui? Just you wait. A mere walnut won't silence me. Someone is always smarter than a petty thief like you. Had Haiming not possessed a regressor's composure, he would have screamed and revealed his position. Inside the basket, Juji struggled against the weight, her tiny limbs flailing in utter frustration. Curse these useless arms, she fumed. If strength failed, she would scream her head off. She drew a breath to alert the world, but suddenly, her wicker cage was lifted. A desperate boy and a confused babe locked eyes in a heavy, startled silence. Haiming stared, bewildered. Why was a baby hidden here? And how could she already talk? Juji saw her accidental savior and felt a flicker of hope. But relief was short-lived. Echoing footsteps thundered nearby. Haiming's heart tightened. The cold-blooded killers had caught their scent. No time for mysteries. He snatched her up and dove back under the basket's shroud. Juji was stunned. Hey! You're not saving me! You're just stealing my hiding spot, brat! The killers stopped inches away. Haiming tensed, fearing the child's cries would betray their location. He clamped a hand over her mouth. Then he heard it again. A voice in his mind. Not again! You're incredibly rude. You won't save me, yet you're squatting in my spot? Why target my mouth in the dark? So annoying. Haiming froze, his blood running cold. He was covering her lips, yet her voice was crystal clear. It defied all logic. He was hearing her inner thoughts. But how was such a mystical connection even possible? The hunters' voices pierced the air. Boss, he came this way. I saw him myself. Useless fools. Find him. If that boy escapes, we're all dead. Keep searching every shadow. As they faded, Haiming waited in the suffocating silence before finally lifting their wicker shield. He set Juji down to flee. Panicked, she gripped his tunic with her tiny hands. She flashed a pleading smile. Wait! We shared a basket. Save me, and I'm your sister. I was kidnapped. Take me home, and I'll be your honorary sister for life, she begged. Haiming's gaze became unreadable. He remembered the mysterious child from his recurring cryptic dreams. A babe in silk, linked by destiny. Was this encounter a miracle or a curse? He knelt, testing her. We're both abandoned now. I can't possibly take care of you. I should leave you here. Juji's heart shattered, and she was moved to desperate tears. Unaware her soul was being read, her thoughts screamed out. Wait! I have a treasure! A giant glowing pearl! It's yours if you save me! Haiming's suspicion turned to shock. The dream child and her pearl, the pieces of the puzzle were finally clicking into place. Was she truly the one? And this ability to hear thoughts, what was its true purpose? Perhaps she held the answers to the tragedies that had plagued his entire previous life. He flashed a harmless smile. Fine, I'll just leave you at the local government office. Juji's despair vanished instantly. Her hope pieced back together. She wanted to bow in gratitude. A true saint, my living Buddha, she cheered. But then a shadow fell over them. Well, well, found you, little brat. A sneering voice boomed with chilling, murderous intent. The assassins had circled back. They both whipped their heads around, trapped like prey. Juji clung to Haiming, her mind racing. They're back? Their intelligence is actually terrifying me. A clash was inevitable. He looked at her and whispered, Hold your breath, if you understand. Nod for me or it's nap time. Startled, Juyuji nodded, forgetting she's supposed to be an ordinary infant. Babies don't understand speech, but she wasn't normal. I'm on it, she screamed internally. I'm a pro at playing dead. I practically faked my own birth. Just check my legendary record. Ning Haiming weighed the tiny girl and smirked. So you really do understand. On 3, hold it. Realizing her fatal mistake, Ju Yuji clapped her hands over her mouth. Ugh, I totally blew my cover. Wait, did he just trick me? Ning Haiming's suspicions were confirmed. This child was something truly special. 3! He tossed her up, simultaneously unleashing smoke pellets from his sleeve. Thick white haze flooded the alley. Under the smoke's veil, he snatched her and vanished. Before losing consciousness, Ju Yuji sent one final thought. My heart is shattered. Real pain isn't loud. It's this. I've never met a guy so utterly unpredictable. The smoke bought them time and alerted the city patrol, finally shaking off those persistent, deadly assassins. After finding a safe hideout, time slipped away. Eventually, Ju Yuji's eyes fluttered open. Ugh, it's freezing. Was that kidnapping just a nightmare? She woke in a dusty room, lying right on her handsome captor. It wasn't a dream. Seeing the boy's pale, lifeless face, a silent, piercing scream echoed through her mind. Is he dead? She thrashed her tiny limbs, desperate to get away from what looked like a corpse. At 1 month old, she had the will of a warrior, but the strength of a tiny marshmallow. She began to wail loudly. The noise jolted Ning Haiming awake. Don't move, he wheezed, struggling for breath. Ju Yuji froze. Oh, you're alive? Why the silence? You nearly gave me a heart attack, you jerk. Wait, your shoulder, you're bleeding. You can't die on me now. A poison dart had struck him earlier. The toxin was numbing his body. Pill, he gasped, his voice failing. Ju Yuji panicked, desperate to help. She didn't quite get it, but she was eager. Ning Haiming watched her, his ability to speak vanishing. In this crisis, his only hope was this baby. He sighed, guiding her hand. Pill, in chest. Ju Yuji mentally facepalmed. Should have said so. I thought you were starting some weird deathbed rap battle. She scrambled through his robes until she grabbed a small porcelain bottle. She held it up triumphantly. Ning Haiming couldn't speak at all now. He couldn't even tell her the dosage, only managing a nod. Seeing this, Ju Yuji dumped all 5 pills into her palm and shoved the entire handful inside. She didn't just shove the medicine. She stuffed her entire tiny fist into his mouth for good measure. For the first time in 2 lives, someone was force-feeding him legendary medicine and a hand sandwich. My hands are small, she justified. I didn't want to drop any. Just swallow it and live, okay? As long as you survive, I'd do anything. Ning Haiming wanted to weep. Those pills cost a fortune. I'm not swallowing medicine, I'm literally swallowing gold. Soon after, the deadly poison finally began to recede. After patching his wounds, he fell into a deep sleep, cradling the exhausted little infant in his arms. As she slept on his chest, his crimson eyes flickered. Her chaotic thoughts were still echoing clearly. Something didn't fit. This girl was a mischievous brat, not the vengeful woman from his recurring nightmares. That woman's heart was full of resentment and blood. How could they possibly be the same soul? Looking at the chubby, adorable baby, his hand moved instinctively. He poked her soft, squishy cheek. Wow, it's so soft, he thought. Ju Yuji's eyes snapped open, glaring at him with pure baby judgment. Under her accusatory stare, he yanked his hand back. So it wasn't a hallucination, he realized with shock. I can actually hear her thoughts through touch. This child was an enigma, a bizarre anomaly indeed. Logic dictated he should eliminate the threat. But this tiny creature had technically just saved his life. A flicker of compassion stirred within his cold heart. Fine, I'll just leave her here for now. That counts as paying my debt. He stood up slowly, leaving the tiny baby on the floor. Ju Yuji was shocked. Wait, you're better? Great! Pick me up! Let's get out of this place! But he just turned and walked away. Ju Yuji's world crumbled. Hey, big brother, you're just leaving? I must have had terrible luck meeting a cold-hearted jerk like you. If you won't save me, at least drop me off at a crowded street. Don't just leave me in the middle of nowhere. Juji's heart shattered as Ning Haiming walked away. She burst into desperate sobs, wailing for his attention, hoping his heart would soften. Suddenly, he turned back, his eyes reflecting a storm of complex, unreadable emotions. Why are you crying? He asked. Juji blinked, stunned. Didn't you abandon me? He let out a soft, bitter laugh. Before he could respond, a sudden commotion erupted outside as a legion of armored soldiers stormed into the room. Without hesitation, Haiming snatched Juji up, his protective grip tightening as he shielded her from the impending danger. His eyes burned with lethal vigilance, assuming the troops were his enemies. Juji watched the soldiers, then realized everything clicked. Overwhelmed with guilt, she realized he hadn't left her. He had actually gone to find help. I'm so blind! I was just cursing your entire family! She snuggled against him, filled with newfound affection. Haiming stayed silent, hiding the truth. Go ahead and misunderstand, he thought, letting her believe his false heroics. As Juji tried to make amends, a familiar voice thundered through the chaos. Little sister, it's really you! Her brother, Jujimu, rushed in first. The moment she saw him, Juji's tough girl facade completely dissolved into relief. Jujimu reached for her, but Haiming instinctively recoiled. That subtle defensive move made the brother's gaze turn dark. Who are you? Why is my sister with you? Fearing a clash, Juji frantically pleaded with Haiming in her mind. Kid, that's my big brother. Please, just hand me over before you two start a bloody war. Hearing her thoughts, Haiming complied. I am Ning Chi. My family runs a security escort business, he explained. Pardon my caution. Someone tried to kidnap her earlier, so I assumed everyone was a threat to her safety. Jujimu, also hearing his sister's thoughts, scrutinized the boy. To rescue a child from killers required incredible skill. This young Master Ning was clearly more than he seemed. You saved my sister. We owe you a great debt. But if your family is so powerful, why are you in such a pathetic, disheveled state? Jujimu pressed sharply. Haiming hadn't expected such keen intuition. He quickly feigned deep embarrassment, stammering out a lie about his past. My stepmother is seizing the family business. I had no choice but to go into hiding, he claimed. Juji felt a wave of pity. How tragic. He's like a male historical version of the Snow White story. When Liu Ruyun finally arrived, she found her daughter safe in Jujimu's arms and broke into hysterical tears. My precious child, thank heavens you're safe. She snatched the baby, too focused on her daughter to notice Haiming. Haiming's gaze was fixed solely on her. The woman's face matched the beautiful figure from his haunting dreams. As Liu Ruyun wept, the pieces of his vision finally aligned. The dream wasn't just a fantasy. It was real. His gaze fell back on Juji. This coincidence was terrifying. This child was the woman destined to kill him. The sword of fate, long hanging over his head, had finally fallen. The prophecy was beginning to come true. He felt a chill of regret. Because of a moment of foolish compassion, he had personally saved his future, shielded his very own future executioner.